for me, I guess I'll talk about like the activities portion of the application. How many of you guys like high school or parents of high school students? Oh, okay, so you're probably familiar with the Common App, which has 10 activities. So for me, I guess I like the way I like to tell people is you want to have a story in your activities lists. Like who are you as a person? What are your activities center around? The things you do every day, what do they center around? That's one part. Other part is why, which is typically something you answer in your essay. But about what you do, for me, I had sort of two big things that encompass my activities section in my Common App. And those two things were debate and journalism. So in high school, I did journalism with our school newspaper. I did writing for the opinion department. Obviously, the purpose of, I would say, let's talk about clubs. The purpose of clubs is not just to be a member. Typically, you want to rise in the ranks and become, I don't know, president, vice president, things like that. And I'll say this is something I'll always tell other people. Let's say you can't become president. Let's just say it's too hard, right? To uh, sort of get a position in a club. What you want to do typically is if you're simply a member, propose and initiate something unique for that club. So if you're on the basketball team, you can get captain of the team. Perhaps maybe say, okay, let's go to the local middle school. Let's teach them basketball, something like that. If you're in robotics, you can do something similar in your school. Let's go to local middle schools around the area. Let's teach them some coding, computer science. For me, I'd say so. Once again, journalism and debate. For journalism, I mean, I don't want to necessarily go down the list of the things I did. I'll mention a few things that I think stood out. But for journalism, I joined like a student advisory board of a nonprofit that helped different high schools found their own newspapers. Um, for debate, that was the thing that stood out. So the one thing I did was create a team for our school, a debate team. We didn't have one. Maybe I think in the past we did, but when I was there, we did not have a debate team. So a few friends and I started a parliamentary debate team and did a few things with that. And the thing that like I think started even more was after the moment we started that team, we were like, let's do something bigger. We were on a roll in 2023, and we're like, let's just continue pushing forward. So what we decided to do was create sort of an outside a program outside our school whereby we would go to a few middle schools around. So once again, this is not related to our school. We were in the Main Street area, so around our area where our school was, and we told those middle schools, "Hey, do you have a debate team?" And a lot of them said no. So we were like, "Okay, we're gonna come to you guys every single week with lessons, and we're gonna provide workshops to you to your students." And so every week we would go to a few schools in Queens, prepare presentations, go there, mentor them. Eventually, we had a competition in April of 2024. But besides the point, that thing for me was what stood out. So whether that's something you do within your school or something you do outside, and you have stuff to show for it, that's what stands out to college because it shows you're really passionate about this one thing, and you do something that's I guess I don't really like saying obviously colleges are like a zero sum game, right? If you like it's you versus other people. But I mean if you're constantly thinking about it like that, it won't really get you far. So how do you take your passion and make it in a way that I guess stands out to your application review?
So going back to what everybody was saying, kind of summation of a lot of things, I think one is obviously having good grades, right? Like that's baseline. You have to have like good grades. And that's the thing, good grades isn't enough, right? Clearly you can have 4.0, whatever, high average. So like that's kind of like baseline. Okay, you have good grades. Another thing is having something that you're interested about, like that makes you different to your extracurricular. So ironically for me, I was the president of the pre-dental club, and I thought that was going to be like my big application stuff. Was not asked to me once for any dental school application. What was constantly asked to me was the kind of unique, different thing that I was kind of passionate in. Was I didn't start the meditation club in my school, but my friend did, and I was like an active member, and I worked also my way up. And that was like asked by me by every interview, not about pre-dental club. And again, kind of what he was saying, I worked my way up in the pre-dental club. I went from events coordinator to vice president to president, which is still good. You should still have that. But to them, again, they read thousands of these a day. So all the big headlines, all the big name stuff, it kind of, they're desensitized to it to a certain extent. That's why like what he did is something actually novel. He showed that you care. going to people's middle schools, starting at the like that. That's again, even I was impressed by that, right? So you hear that and you're like, okay, that's different. That's something novel. That's something creative. Again, community service is a good way to incorporate it within my predental club. I also went to local colleges, local elementary schools in Binghamton, which is not the really kind of a poor city. We gave out free toothbrushes, free toothpaste. Also was mentioned in my also was mentioned in my interviews. Um, Along with again having a good essay, good letters of rec. There's a lot of variables. There's a lot of components. It's difficult, right? And this is the reason why. But you kind of have to have all your ducks in a row, right? So you have good grades, you have good relationships with professors, you talk to them, and your essay again. Now going back to ChatGPT, I agree with Eddie to a certain extent. I think it is dimming the creation, but at the same time, it can also really enhance things if it's used properly. So I think you guys have a tool now to really, as long as you do put your own words into it, it can really help as well. And just having again, like he was saying, it's better to have one or two things that you are like so passionate and so knowledgeable about. Because sometimes you see the list of 10 things and you're like, oh, I have to fill in it all, otherwise I'm not going to look good. It's better to really write in a couple, like 3 or 4 high quality things that you can go into depth than to like write a bunch of things where, they'll ask you about it and you'll be like, oh, I did that for like a week. So um, there's a lot of factors to it, but I think ultimately you kind of have to have this tunnel vision to a certain extent. Like I'm sure all of us, at some point in like our journey really wanted it and also obviously valued education, but you kind of have to like aim for it. And even if you don't get it, it's still okay. The fact alone, like that you strive for those types of ideals and goals is reflective of yourself and it will end up showing somehow, I think, in my opinion. But yeah, that's
We're Buharian, right? So most of the successful people in our community aren't so well educated, right? So a lot of them are, you know, the first generation that came here, they went for jobs that were quick. So you're probably thinking, why should we go bust our butts, study hard when I have a friend that works in the jewelry district, right? He's killing it. Or I have a friend that owns 5 barbershops or whatever it is. Or I have a friend that does cash advance and drives a nice car at the age of 18, right? We're going to see a lot of people that are super successful around us. Why should we go 10 years education? Why should we work really, really hard? Right. So that's a question that many of us ask ourselves, right? That's why you don't really see so many Buharians taking the hard route. There's obviously an easy way, right? And that many of us know that, where we have a family connection into something that's not so prestigious, but very lucrative. Or we can do something that we're really passionate about, but at the same time is the hard path. It's worth it, in my opinion, to go for that, right? Because we're now the second, third generation in America, right? We can do things, we can strive harder, and actually develop our minds to focus on something that's worth, that makes the world a better place, not just puts money in our pockets, right? And that is only accomplished when you're surrounded by really, really, really smart people.